What is the long-term return on investment for countries that prioritize machine tool development compared to those that remain import-dependent? The long-term return on investment for countries that prioritize machine tool development compared to those that remain import-dependent. In the hierarchy of industries that drive economic transformation, the machine tool sector stands out as the foundation of modern industrialization. Often called the mother industry, machine tools produce the machinery that manufactures every other product from automobiles and airplanes to medical equipment and renewable energy technologies. For countries that invest in building indigenous machine tool capacity, the rewards go far beyond machinery. They secure economic sovereignty, technological leadership, and sustainable growth. By contrast, nations that neglect this sector and remain dependent on imported finished goods and tools trap themselves in cycles of trade deficits, foreign exchange shortages, and underdeveloped industries. This raises a vital question: what is the long-term return on investment, ROI, for countries that prioritize machine tool development compared to those that remain import-dependent? 1. The cost of import dependence. A foreign exchange drain. Import-dependent nations spend billions each year on finished goods, industrial machinery, and spare parts. For example, African countries collectively spend more than $60 billion annually on vehicle imports and billions more on industrial equipment. This creates chronic trade deficits and weakens local currencies. B. Stunted industrial base. When nations rely on imports, they fail to develop domestic supply chains. Local industries remain stuck at the low-value end of global trade, extracting and exporting raw materials while importing high-value manufactured products. C. Vulnerability to external shocks. Import-dependent economies are highly vulnerable to global price fluctuations, currency crises, and geopolitical supply disruptions. COVID-19 and the Russia-Ukraine war highlighted how fragile import-reliant supply chains can be, leaving many African nations stranded without critical equipment. D. Opportunity cost. The reliance on imports means nations miss out on millions of potential jobs, skills development, and wealth creation opportunities that come with domestic manufacturing. 2. Returns for countries that invest in machine tools. A. Domestic value creation. Machine tool industries enable nations to produce their own industrial equipment and consumer goods. This means retaining value locally rather than exporting raw materials and importing expensive finished goods. ROI perspective: for every dollar invested in machine tools, countries can save multiple dollars in avoided imports and generate domestic revenues through industrial expansion. B. Job multiplication. Machine tool industries create direct employment in manufacturing and R&D, while enabling indirect jobs in automotive, construction, agriculture, and energy sectors. Estimates suggest Africa could generate 6 to 10 million jobs within 10 to 15 years if it invested in machine tools. ROI perspective: the employment dividends translate into higher tax revenues, consumer spending, and social stability. C. Export potential. Countries with advanced machine tool industries can export both tools and finished products. For example, Germany and Japan, two global leaders, have built trillion-dollar economies on precision manufacturing exports. ROI perspective: instead of spending foreign exchange on imports, machine tool exporters earn it, strengthening reserves and currency stability. D. Technological advancement. Machine tool industries force countries to master advanced engineering, precision machining, computer numerical control, CNC, and digital manufacturing. These skills spill over into aerospace, defense, electronics, and renewable energy. ROI perspective: this creates long-term innovation ecosystems, increasing competitiveness and resilience. 3. Comparative scenarios: machine tool investment versus import dependence. Let's compare two hypothetical African countries over a 30-year horizon. Country A prioritizes machine tool development. Invests $10 billion over 10 years in machine tool factories, R&D centers, and training. Builds capacity to produce 40% of its machinery and industrial goods domestically. Saves $5 billion annually in avoided imports after year 15. Creates 1 million jobs directly and indirectly. Exports $2 billion worth of machinery and parts annually by year 25. Long-term ROI. $5 billion annual import savings times 15 years equals $75 billion saved. $2 billion annual exports times 5 years equals $10 billion earned. Net ROI equals over 7x return on the initial $10 billion investment, not counting social benefits like job creation and knowledge transfer. Country B remains import dependent. Avoids upfront investment but continues importing $5 billion annually in machinery and finished goods. Accumulates $150 billion in import bills over 30 years. No significant job creation, youth unemployment worsens. Faces periodic foreign exchange crises when global prices rise or exports fall. Long-term ROI. Negative balance sheet, continuous outflow of wealth with no multiplier effect at home. 4 case studies from history. Germany and Japan. Both nations invested heavily in machine tools after World War II. Today, they dominate high-precision manufacturing and export billions in cars, electronics, and machinery. Their long-term ROI includes technological leadership, robust export economies, and global influence. South Korea. In the 1960s, South Korea prioritized heavy industries, including machine tools, as part of its industrial policy. Today, it exports advanced electronics, ships, and vehicles, with Samsung and Hyundai as global leaders. The ROI was transformative, from poverty in the 1950s to a top-tier economy today. Import-dependent economies. By contrast, many resource-rich but import-dependent economies, example Nigeria, Angola, Venezuela, continue to struggle with currency crises, unemployment, and underdevelopment. Their long-term ROI on avoiding industrial investment has been negative, as wealth continuously flows outwards. 5 strategic benefits of machine tool investment. Beyond pure economic numbers, machine tool industries provide strategic, long-term benefits that no import-dependent country can enjoy. Economic sovereignty, nations control their own industrial base. Resilience, domestic capacity shields economies from external shocks. National security, defense industries rely on precision engineering, which only machine tools can provide. Inter-industry synergy, automotive, construction, aerospace, and energy sectors grow stronger. Innovation culture, high-skill industries cultivate R&D and technological innovation. 6 risks and mitigation. Of course, machine tool development is not risk-free. High capital costs, requires billions in upfront investment. Skill shortages, technical expertise must be built through training. Global competition, competing with established giants is difficult. However, these risks can be mitigated by regional collaboration under the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, where countries specialize in different machine tool segments. Public-private partnerships that share costs and expertise. Strategic protection of infant industries until they mature. Conclusion. The long-term return on investment for countries that prioritize machine tool development is transformative. Such nations not only save billions in foreign exchange but also create millions of jobs, build domestic value chains, strengthen currencies, and position themselves as global players in technology and manufacturing. By contrast, import-dependent economies lock themselves into perpetual wealth outflows, vulnerability to external shocks, and underdevelopment. The apparent short-term savings of avoiding industrial investment turn into long-term losses of opportunity, sovereignty, and prosperity. History is clear. Nations that invested in machine tools, Germany, Japan, South Korea, became industrial powerhouses. Those that neglected the sector remain dependent and fragile. For Africa and other developing economies, the choice is not whether they can afford to invest in machine tools. The real question is, Can they afford not to? How many direct and indirect jobs could be created if African nations invested in machine tool industries? Industrialization has long been regarded as the pathway to sustainable development, economic independence, and wealth creation. At the heart of this process lies the machine tool industry, the mother of all industries. Machine tools are the backbone of manufacturing, enabling the production of everything from automotive parts to agricultural machinery, from construction equipment to renewable energy components. For Africa, a continent heavily dependent on raw material exports, the establishment of a strong machine tool industry could transform economies, reduce unemployment, and spark widespread industrial growth. One of the most compelling arguments for investing in machine tools is the immense potential for job creation, both direct and indirect. This article explores how such an industry could generate millions of employment opportunities across Africa. 1. Direct jobs in the machine tool industry. A. Manufacturing and production workers. The most immediate direct jobs would be in factories producing machine tools. These include machinists, welders, assembly line workers, engineers, and technicians. A single medium-sized machine tool factory can employ anywhere from 500 to 5,000 workers, depending on its capacity. If just 20 African nations each developed 2 medium to large-scale machine tool plants, that could mean 20,000 to 200,000 direct manufacturing jobs. These are not low-skill, low-wage positions but relatively well-paying industrial jobs, which help build a skilled middle class. B. Research and development, R&D, specialists. Machine tools are technology-intensive products. Establishing an indigenous industry requires R&D centers, employing engineers, designers, materials scientists, and software developers. Africa would need thousands of such professionals working on precision engineering, automation, and digital manufacturing technologies. This could translate to 50,000 to 100,000 high-skilled engineering and innovation jobs continent-wide. C. Maintenance and technical services. The installed base of machine tools requires constant servicing, upgrades, and calibration. This creates opportunities for after-sales service engineers, technicians, and maintenance crews. Estimates suggest that for every 100 machine tools sold, at least 5 to 10 full-time service jobs are created, which could scale into tens of thousands across Africa. 2. Indirect jobs across industrial value chains. The bigger multiplier effect of machine tools lies in how they enable other industries to grow and employ more people. Once Africa can produce its own machine tools, it no longer has to wait for imports, allowing industries like automotive, construction, agriculture, and renewable energy to thrive. A. Automotive industry. Africa currently imports almost all of its vehicles and spare parts. With domestic machine tool production, local assembly plants could evolve into full-fledged vehicle manufacturing. Each automotive plant can employ 10,000 to 20,000 workers directly and support 50,000 to 100,000 indirect jobs through suppliers and logistics. If only 10 African countries established strong automotive industries supported by local machine tools, this could create 1 to 2 million indirect jobs. B. Construction and infrastructure. Africa's urbanization boom requires cement plants, steel mills, and construction equipment. Machine tools would allow local production of excavators, cranes, and prefabricated housing units. The construction sector is already one of Africa's biggest employers. With local equipment manufacturing, millions of additional jobs could be created. A conservative estimate is 500,000 to 1 million jobs continent-wide in construction-related industries enabled by machine tools. C. Agriculture and agro-processing. Agriculture is Africa's largest employer, but productivity remains low due to limited mechanization. With machine tools, Africa could manufacture tractors, plows, irrigation pumps, and food processing machinery locally. This would reduce costs for farmers, expand agro-industrial capacity, and create rural jobs. The FAO estimates that mechanization could double agricultural productivity in Africa. If machine tools enabled local agricultural equipment production, it could generate 2 to 3 million indirect jobs in farming, food processing, and rural industries. Renewable energy and green technologies. Africa has vast renewable energy potential: solar, wind, hydro, and geothermal. Machine tools are needed to manufacture solar panel frames, wind turbine parts, and hydropower equipment. Developing this locally could create a new green tech manufacturing base, with hundreds of thousands of jobs in design, installation, and maintenance. A plausible estimate is 500,000 to 1 million renewable energy jobs over the next 10 to 15 years if machine tool industries are in place. 3. Job creation in supporting sectors. Beyond direct and indirect industry jobs, machine tools would stimulate demand in related sectors. Raw materials and mining, demand for steel, aluminum, and industrial minerals would rise, creating hundreds of thousands of mining and metallurgy jobs. Logistics and transport, transporting raw materials, machine tools, and finished products would expand logistics networks, creating truck drivers, shipping crews, and warehouse workers. Training and education, technical schools, universities, and vocational training centers would need to scale up, employing teachers, trainers, and administrators. ICT and automation, with Industry 4.0 integration, Africa would need software developers, data scientists, and robotics specialists, creating tens of thousands of digital jobs. 4. Overall estimates. When combining all direct and indirect effects, the job creation potential is enormous. Direct jobs in machine tool production, 200,000, 400,000. R&D and high-skilled engineering jobs, 100,000. Maintenance and services, 50,000, 100,000. Automotive sector jobs, 1-2 million. Construction-related jobs, 500,000, 1 million. Agriculture and agro-processing, 2-3 million. Renewable energy and green tech, 500,000, 1 million. Supporting sectors, raw materials, logistics, ICT, education, 2-3 million. Total estimate, 6 to 10 million jobs across Africa over the next 10 to 15 years if nations invest strategically in machine tools. 5. Why these jobs matter. Job creation in machine tools and related industries offers benefits far beyond numbers. Skills development, workers gain technical skills transferable across sectors. Middle class growth, industrial jobs pay better, boosting consumption and tax revenue. Reduced migration pressure, more local opportunities mean fewer young people feel compelled to migrate. Regional integration, a machine tool industry could foster intra-African trade under AFCFTA. Long-term resilience, by diversifying economies, Africa can reduce vulnerability to raw material price shocks. Conclusion. The lack of indigenous machine tool industries has kept Africa locked in a cycle of exporting raw materials and importing manufactured goods. By reversing this trend and investing in machine tools, African nations could spark a wave of industrialization that creates 6 to 10 million jobs across the continent. These jobs would not only be in manufacturing but also in agriculture, construction, automotive, renewable energy, education, and logistics. Machine tools are not just machines, they are job multipliers, skills incubators, and engines of national independence. If Africa takes bold steps now, the coming decades could see the continent transform into a hub of industrial innovation, where millions find meaningful work and societies prosper on the strength of their own industries. How can machine tool industries help develop technical and engineering skills among Africa's youth? How machine tool industries can help develop technical and engineering skills among Africa's youth. Africa is often described as the world's youngest continent. With nearly 60% of its population under the age of 25, the continent has an unprecedented opportunity to turn its youthful demographic into a powerful driver of industrialization and economic growth. Yet this potential faces a major obstacle: limited access to technical and engineering skills. Millions of young Africans leave school without practical training or pathways to industrial jobs. One of the most effective ways to bridge this gap is through the development of machine tool industries, the foundation of modern manufacturing. Machine tools are the lathes, milling machines, presses, grinders, and CNC, computer numerical control, systems that produce parts for virtually every product in modern life, from automobiles to smartphones, tractors, wind turbines, and medical devices. They are often called the mother of industries because no manufacturing sector can exist without them. For Africa's youth, machine tool industries represent more than factories. They are schools of skills that can empower a generation with hands-on expertise, innovation capacity, and career opportunities. 1. The skill gap challenge in Africa. A mismatch between education and industry. Many African universities produce graduates in engineering and science, but curricula often emphasize theory over practice. Graduates may know the formulas behind thermodynamics or materials science, but they have never operated a lathe or designed a part for CNC production. B. High youth unemployment. Despite the large number of young people entering the job market, formal employment opportunities are scarce. In many countries, youth unemployment hovers between 20 to 40%, with underemployment even higher. C. Dependence on imports. Because Africa lacks indigenous machine tool industries, it imports most finished goods and machinery. This means fewer opportunities for youth to gain experience in industrial environments where technical skills are developed. 2. How machine tool industries build skills. A. Hands-on training grounds. Machine tool industries require machinists, welders, tool makers, CAD/CAM, computer-aided design and manufacturing, programmers, and engineers. Young workers learn by doing: measuring, cutting, shaping, assembling, and troubleshooting parts. Unlike purely theoretical education, this kind of exposure builds competence and confidence. B. Exposure to advanced technologies. Modern machine tool industries are no longer limited to manual equipment. They involve automation, robotics, AI-driven machining, and precision engineering. By working in such environments, young Africans gain cutting-edge skills directly relevant to Industry 4.0, the global shift towards smart manufacturing. C. Cross-disciplinary learning. Machine tools sit at the intersection of multiple fields: mechanical engineering, materials science, electronics, software programming, and industrial design. This means young people exposed to the industry develop multidisciplinary skills, making them versatile and competitive globally. 3. Pathways for youth skills development through machine tools. A. Vocational training and apprenticeships. Establishing machine tool factories and workshops creates the need for vocational schools aligned with industry. Young people can undergo apprenticeships where they work alongside experienced machinists, learning practical skills over 2 to 3 years. This is how Germany's apprenticeship system helped it become a world leader in precision manufacturing. B. University, industry partnerships. Machine tool industries can partner with universities to provide internships, industrial attachments, and R&D collaborations. Engineering students could spend semesters working on actual machining projects, designing components, or developing prototypes. This bridges the gap between classroom knowledge and industrial practice. See youth entrepreneurship in manufacturing. By mastering machine tools, young entrepreneurs could establish small workshops producing spare parts, agricultural tools, or renewable energy components. For example, a group of trained machinists could set up a CNC workshop in Nairobi producing motorbike parts locally, reducing imports while creating jobs. D. STEM inspiration and career pathways. Machine tool industries can serve as inspiration for African youth interested in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM. Seeing tangible outputs like tractors, drones, or turbines being made motivates young people to pursue technical careers. 4 sectoral impacts on youth skills development. A. Automotive industry. Youth trained in machine tools can design and manufacture car parts, engines, and frames. This would support local automotive assembly plants and create opportunities for skilled employment in vehicle design and maintenance. B. Agriculture. By producing plows, irrigation systems, and food processing machines, young machinists and engineers can directly impact food security. Training in machine tools empowers rural youth to innovate solutions tailored to local agricultural needs. C. Renewable energy. Wind turbine blades, solar panel frames, and hydropower components require precision machining. Involving youth in these industries not only builds technical skills but also aligns them with Africa's green energy future. D. Construction and infrastructure. Machine tools make it possible to manufacture cranes, steel beams, and prefabricated housing components. Youth engaged in these industries would gain practical engineering experience that directly fuels Africa's urbanization drive. 5 long-term benefits for youth and nations. A. Job creation and employability. Machine tool industries directly employ thousands of machinists, engineers, and technicians. Indirectly, they enable millions of jobs in sectors like automotive, construction, and agriculture. Youth skilled in machine tools will find abundant opportunities across industries. B. Innovation and problem solving. By working with machine tools, young Africans can design and prototype solutions to local problems, whether it's creating affordable farm tools, medical devices, or energy systems. This encourages innovation-driven economies rather than dependency. C. Global competitiveness. Youth trained in machine tool skills can compete in the global job market. Just as Indian IT workers became globally sought after, African machinists, engineers, and CNC programmers could be in high demand if trained at scale. D. Reduced brain drain. If machine tool industries provide challenging, well-paying jobs at home, fewer young Africans will feel compelled to migrate for opportunities abroad. Instead, their skills and energy remain invested in local economies. 6. Overcoming barriers. For machine tool industries to truly transform youth skills, Africa must overcome several challenges. Initial capital investment. Governments and private investors must commit to funding machine tool factories and training centers. Curriculum reform. Education systems must integrate practical machining and design into engineering and technical programs. Mentorship and expertise. Partnerships with countries like Germany, South Korea, and China could provide technical mentors until local expertise matures. Policy support. Governments should incentivize youth training in industrial skills through subsidies, scholarships, and public-private initiatives. 7. A vision for the future. Imagine an Africa where technical schools in Lagos, Addis Ababa, and Johannesburg train thousands of machinists annually. Universities in Nairobi and Accra have machine tool labs linked to local industries. Young entrepreneurs in Kampala run CNC workshops producing affordable spare parts.